It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
All right, here we go again. Two guys and a goalie, Nielson and Kassian studio. Do you have some work on the West End? It worked out really well.
I was just like, I got to get in today. I got to get in today.
That's
and breaking news, I don't know if you guys saw this.
What?
Breaking news. Jay Woodcroft has now been hired by the Edmonton Oilers.
You got funny jokes in the studio, Cass. Somebody on our show today asked me, like, seriously, like, Dusty, is there any way they would bring back Jay Woodcroft, and do you think he'd want to? I was just like, man,
No.
people are absolutely going insane in this city right now. They're going nuts. Gage, you look like your sweater's itchy. Is that an itchy sweater?
No, I'm cozy, baby.
Really?
This is, yeah. I like the wool. Sometimes you have to be uncomfortable to be comfortable, Dusty.
Do you wear an
Just like
undershirt?
yours.
Do you wear an undershirt under this, or is that straight on your skin?
No, that's all me under here, buddy.
I don't
I'm
get
out there and I'm loving every minute of it.
Gage, I don't get how you do that. I don't get actually how people do that in general. Like even with hoodies,
Like a wool sweater or a hoodie?
even hoodies. It's like my wife is always like, "Well, why don't you just put the hoodie on?" I'm like, something doesn't feel right about wearing this without a shirt underneath. I just don't like it.
Not with a sweater. If I have any sort of sweater, like I took one sweater with me to Grey Cup, and I brought an undershirt specifically for when I wore the sweater. But I do like something about like a nice soft hoodie on your nips with no shirt in there. I do. I like it, like laying around the house, man. I don't know. I like the feel of it as opposed to having the shirt underneath. I swear to God.
I don't know. It's weird to me.
No, I do.
It's
I
a
like
weird
that.
feeling.
I like that. Like, well, that's what you're doing right now, Gager, right? You got that sweater just planted right against your breasts, you know?
Hard as little rocks, my nipples right now, Dusty.
Could those nipples cover somebody in front of the net? Because the Edmonton Oilers are unable to do so. Rashad with an interesting tweet today about, what could possibly happen here, and all eyes on Ken Holland. I don't think all eyes are on Ken Holland. I don't think Ken Holland's calling the shots here anymore.
No, I mean his name might get attached to it.
Yeah.
But
No.
I
I don't think Ken Holland panic fires a head coach 13 games into the season.
No, and I don't think he necessarily pulls the trigger on the trade. Or if there is something he wants to do,
It's getting
he's running
there's
it
levels
by people.
of approval here.
Oh yeah.
For that, for sure. Gager, Cass, and I were on post game last night, but I'd love your thoughts on that hockey game, man.
Oh,
Well, him first. I said,
Gager.
Yeah, I said Cass and I already talked. We're gonna get into it again, but Gager, we haven't heard your thoughts yet, so you share one, and then we'll kind of. I mean, I was ranting pretty good last night, and then you filled in nicely when the audio went down, and you were on a full-blown monologue last night. But Gager, what did you think of the game?
I went through lots of stages of emotions with that game because the start of the game, I felt like, they're kind of doing okay here. They're up against a good team. It seemed like everything was kind of under control, and then the wheels just completely fall off. I got excited again because Jack Jury, who a little child in Germany, played with his dad Ted, scoring a goal, so I was happy about that. But then going back into my Oilers ISO frame of the defensive zone, and I at times last night I was wondering why are the Edmonton Oilers playing against that team? It's like they're almost in the wrong league. The way that the Hurricanes were just outmatching them in every facet of the game. Speed, execution, physicality, not letting them do anything offensively. Very disheartening those two periods, watching the way that the Hurricanes were, and the start of the second to see them have to go to a goalie because Antti Ranta can't play more than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And they don't muster any sort of just get shots to the net. Like that's
The old classic test
101.
this guy, like
it just from everywhere. Doesn't matter. Shoot the puck. Let's see if this guy, he's probably a little nervous going in. He didn't expect to play. And then you get the third period where the game's done. The game's out of reach, and the Hurricanes were already moved on, and they just went into complete defensive mode, and the Oilers looked great because they weren't getting pressured anymore. So
exactly, that's what that third period was like. So they looked like they were working harder, but Carolina was just like, oh, we're just going to not blow this thing.
Just if you were to look at that third period and pretend that you're a Carolina fan, you would say, oh, they're just sitting back. It's not a big deal. You wouldn't be upset about that. They were playing the scoreboard at that point. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible hockey game, where you would think there would be much more, just much more of something, anything at this point, Dusty. It's the comical errors on the defensive zone is mind-numbing. And defense, everyone can play. That's the thing. Everyone can play defense. It's desire. There is a certain amount of skill, but there is a lot of will associated with playing defensively. Not everyone can play offense. Some of that is you're born with, and that's been cultivated over your entire hockey career. But everyone has the ability to play defense, and until you get that throughout all, 17 guys in the lineup? I don't know, 19.
It depends on teams' current cap situations.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like you guys, like the little thing between Connor and Leon, I kind of liked, but they have to decide, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to chase Hart trophies and Rocket Richards, or do we want to do something that's special as a group and as a team and win a championship together? Because all they're focused on is that next goal, score that next one, do that. There's no defensive awareness whatsoever.
Okay, first of all, if you're listening right now on TuneIn or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, you can text us 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, just chime in the Nasty Chat, Cass. You wanted to hop in?
I wanted to hop in because I liked this in on the Nasty Chat from Nutsy Nielson.
Okay.
All the third period showed me was what they couldn't even commit to giving up for a full 60 minutes.
You can't even commit to giving up properly.
Yeah, you can't even give up properly and quit in a game. Yeah. Oh man, that made me giggle in my head. So I felt I had to throw that out.
It's just like there's no urgency.
No, none.
In the situation
until the third period. Until the third period, and we've seen that a couple times where it's just like they're just getting absolutely beat up, and then it's like, we got a big push in the third, and I really liked our third period. I really liked the push we had.
No, you didn't.
And it's like, well, I mean, game was already out of reach, so.
But like, should they not be like at the point where like your season is getting into midway through the third period here?
Yeah.
If you don't get your act together, right? Like that's why I just don't understand how. I thought Gazdic made a great point on our show this morning when and Gage, you make a great point on the defense. Like, and Cass, so let's talk about that first. Gage made a good point on the defense. Like, everybody can play defense.
Yep.
You just have to have the desire to it. And I guess that follows up with what Gazdic said earlier today. He's like, playing defense is a choice. And they're choosing to not play defense right now, which is just, like, that's the one area with hard work you should be able to improve.
Yeah.
And they just seem like they don't want to.
Well, it's not just hard work, because you can work really hard and be in the wrong position and make mistakes. So it's not, it goes beyond just hard work. I think there's a commitment. There's a commitment that happens with that. So let's just look at the play where Kulak gets his stick pinched, side of the net. Not able to go stick on puck, can't take the guy in the corner, or is can't get his stick in that passing lane, and you have McDavid and Draisaitl coming back into the slot, just lost. It's like they're going to the right place, but it's like the commitment to say, no, I'm going to go here, and if anything happens, I'm breaking this play up. If anything goes wrong, I'm going to be the difference. I'm going to stop this chance against. I'm going to get the puck out of danger, and it's a commitment issue. So, I mean, that's another thing that just makes me laugh about that. They can't even commit to being horrible for a full 60 minutes, because it's like,
make up your mind.
There's something to that where it's like you stuck in. That's defensively the story of the season is they're stuck halfway in between. Absolutely stuck halfway in between, where it's like, no, that extra level of commitment. I mean, it's like, I don't know if you ever had any defining the relationship talks back, like in like high school or post high school. Like if you're in a relationship where it's like we have to clarify what this relationship is.
Okay.
And I feel like, high school me was kind of like, well, no, you kind of non-committal to it, right? Like you don't want to get tied down into it. And I kind of feel that's where this team is stuck defensively right now, where it's like they're kind of saying the right things, like, yeah, we're committed to only you. We're committed to only you. Like, yeah, we're in this. Well, do you want to make this relationship official?
Yeah.
Like that's where they are. The Edmonton Oilers right now are a bunch of high school boys that are interested in a girl that wants to make the relationship official, but they just don't want to take that final little step to say, no, this is an official thing.
Yeah,
They just
like the Facebook
they want their freedom.
Like
right.
When that was a big thing.
Right.
It's funny you bring that up. Quick side story. Not a great story. I'm not super proud of this story, but it's a funny story. So when I was like 24, I was in Lethbridge, and I had a girl that I was like, this is exactly what you're talking about. Like we weren't official, but we were hooking up on a regular basis, but we weren't dating. We didn't go on dates or anything, whatever. So I went to Calgary Stampede and met somebody else, and she lived in Vancouver. And so we were kind of talking, and then she came out to visit one time, and she's like, so what are we? Like on Facebook, like, are we I was just like, okay, fine. So I clicked in a relationship. The girl in Lethbridge calls me. She's like, oh, we're in a relationship now. And I was like, ooh, actually, that's with somebody else. Like, that was a major all-time backfire. So when you talk about, like, committing as a young, immature team, and that's what I said multiple times to the others, like, they haven't matured. Like, the group just hasn't matured. And I'm talking about the core here, because the two guys you used as an example are Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on the fifth goal last night. Like, and if those guys aren't going to do it,
who's going to
do it? Like, who's going to lead the way in, like, properly defending if it's not those guys? And if those guys haven't done it yet, how can we ever expect them to do it? Like, it's just, like, that's not in their DNA. They only operate on the offensive mindset of, if I stay here and the puck comes out, I got a better jump on it as opposed to being down here by this guy. It's just, I don't know, Gage. You're like, how do you not as a group find a way to commit to this with 4 different coaches over the last 7 years?
Well, I think one step is the coach to finally put his foot down and say enough's enough. I go back to Matthias Ekholm's interview after the game the other night while he was answering questions. And one thing that what he said really stuck out to me was maybe we have to change on the defensive side. Maybe we have to get to a point where and make the other team have to go through 5 guys, right? Like, because what we're doing now is it's always outnumbered situations. We're not in good enough position. You hear about, and Cass has said it, Belzy said it, you said it, Dusty, I've said it, just playing above the puck and not that you just mentioned that those hope plays. You can see them. They're like thoroughbreds in the blocks before they get released. They're waiting to jump onto the offensive side of the puck. It doesn't even cross their mind. Oh, if he gets checked here or we lose the puck, they're going back the other way. They don't even care about that. There's no awareness to the defensive side. And like you said, until 97 and 29 actually decide, you know what, we can't keep doing this anymore. We're losing games. We have to. I mean, what were they, -7 combined?
Yeah, combined -7 last night. Yeah,
like that. You got to be crazy. You got to be pooping me here. This is completely unacceptable at this point. And I go back to, I know I'm dating myself here, but you look at some of the great offensive players in the NHL, and I look at guys like Modano, Sakic, Yzerman. Those guys were all scoring at those huge paces, 112, way over 100 points. It wasn't until you saw them. And I mean, they were still very gifted offensively and were huge parts of their teams on the offensive side. But you saw their points lower. They were closer to that 100-point plateau, 90. But they were also winning Stanley Cups too. So there has to be a shift. You can't keep outscoring your problems. I mean, if anything, that they learned. You learn from your mistakes. You learned last year going up against the Golden Knights that you can't outscore your problems against a good defensive team. It's not going to work that way. And they came in this year with the same mindset that they did last year, that our power play is going to be awesome. We're going to set records again. And if the bottom part of the lineup can, I mean, you got to remember the bottom part of the lineup, there was 12 guys that had double digits in goals too. Like that, they outscored their problems, and it masked all the inefficiencies of the team.
It looks like it's the only way it can happen this year too, Cass. Like if they're gonna get on some sort of miraculous run, it's gonna have to be by scoring 4, 5, and 6 goals per game. It's that simple.
Well,
it can't be anything else.
We can't expect them to
do anything else.
Go full Mark Spector and win a game 3-1.
Careful, man. You don't want that DM heat.
No, I don't want to. Yeah, Tim Peel's going to start coming after me.
Exactly. That's the last thing that you want to do.
And I'll post those DMs in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you will. Exactly. Let's get to a couple of text messages. 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. Of course, in the Nasty Chat, you can slide in there as well. And then, I mean, we'll get into that Rashog tweet today. They've got new line combinations again. That's going to make a difference. Somebody is asking on the text line, can you please remove that picture of 97 on the screen? Thank you. That is Connor McDavid last night, just looking completely pissed off, sad. I mean, I don't know how you would describe that photo of McDavid there. What would you say? A general malaise?
I mean, he's a high school kid that got thrust into a define the relationship conversation. He didn't want to commit, and then the girl was like, well, see you later then. That's what it looks like.
Coach Mike is in and says, the offensive mindset with 29 and 97 bleeds into the rest of the team. Every forward and defenseman are always thinking offense first. That's in from Coach Mike. Does that tie into, well, what happened on the third goal? I think you broke it down last night. That was the Teravainen goal where CC kind of had him behind the net.
Yeah.
And then CC went to the front of the net, but went too far in front of the net, and there's some battles lost, and a puck turned over, and then boom, in the back of the net. Is that a group thinking, get the puck up the ice, get the puck up the ice, get the puck up the ice, or what happened?
Well, it's Cody Ceci looking at the puck being on Ryan McLeod's stick.
I'm thinking I'm out. I'm going.
Not thinking I'm going, but I can release to the front of the net. The danger's not on this side. The puck's going that way. We have the puck. I can step to the front of the net. And is he
which is where he should be?
Which is where he's supposed to be on that, because you know if the puck goes to the corner or goes up the wall, he's the release valve in front of the net. He's supposed to be front of the net, shading over,
because he's the right shot demon.
Right shot demon, and if the puck rolls over there, I mean, he should be shading over to strong side post, which is where he's supposed to be. Now he realizes after a split second that, wait a minute, McLeod didn't get the puck.
Yeah,
Broberg had the puck, lost the puck, didn't do anything with it, and that's where you see him catch himself, because he's going to lose vision of the puck for a split second when he's stepping past the net. Like, you're not really going to be able to see the puck, and he realizes it, but he just realizes it a split second too late to be able to get his stick from up ice to down ice to eliminate the puck. So, as far as mistakes go, that's a small mistake. That's a small mistake. And 2 other mistakes had to happen before that one happened. So you want to look at things that snowball, and what has plagued the Oilers this year is mistakes that beget mistakes, that beget mistakes, that beget a goal. And to me, that's it. Is you didn't have first you had Broberg get absolutely pushed around in the corner to turn it into a battle when he had the puck.
Yeah.
Then McLeod doesn't pick up the puck and misses it. Broberg sort of has the puck, and I don't know what he was doing with it, turns it over. And then CC's caught because of it. So it's it's all 3 of those guys, not just Cody Ceci on that play. I mean, I'm sure if you talk to him, he'd like to recognize that he needs to be a step back and not put his stick up ice, but he's going to the more typical, obvious angle for where he's supposed to be.
That's where I need to be, because that's where the puck's supposed to come.
That's where this
as opposed to, I wonder if our guys don't win the battle, I'm going to stay right here instead.
Well, but
you're thinking your guys.
But
the issue,
the issue also is both McLeod and Broberg are stuck on the wall. So they're stuck on the wall in the zone. So his thought is, I got to get to the front of the net, because if they get walked here and that puck comes out what is now strong side, so that left-handed side, if someone walks out here, I got to be able to meet them, right? Because you don't want to just sit on the back post and say, well, I got this guy, and just have a 1-0 little mini breakaway from the side of the net. So
technically at that point, Teravainen would have been the least
Well, for the first
situation
for the first two steps, for the first two steps, and then it changes and changes quickly again because you have two guys that lose a battle or can't get the job done, and then you're caught. But it ultimately turns into a quick 2-on-1. That's what happens. It's a 2-on-1 right at the net with Ceci, and he's just overplaying it because he assumed he was going to have some help, and there was actually going to be a play made by his teammates behind the net. So, I think it's too simplistic just to point at Cody Ceci on that one. But overall, it's the same thing that's just plagued them time and time again, where one mistake turns into two mistakes, turns into three mistakes, turns into the fourth mistake, and the puck's in the net.
Gage, speaking of pucks in the net, what'd you think of Skinner last night?
Well, what did I think? Fourth one, he's got to have.
Fourth one,
right? But, I mean...
It was also a real nice shot by Jarvis above the pad far side.
Great shot.
It was a really good shot, but you need him to make that save. Or you'd like
He's got to make
you're
that.
You're already down 3. I shouldn't say you need him to make the save. You're down 3 goals already.
Jarvis just right by Desharnais, like just he had the speed in the puck. I mean, but yeah, nice shot. But you want him to stop that. But the other ones, bounce, like a couple bad bounces. I don't know. It was tough. I thought.
Yeah, the first one. See, they say, oh, it's a bad bounce, but it's still a team working hard to get pucks to the net, right? Like that, he shouldn't be able to that easily just to take a clapper from up there, not contest it or not have to look around or get the puck past someone. And then there's, again, I know it bounced off a few guys, but there's no awareness. I always told myself, like, if I let in a bad goal, which happened often, but sometimes it was those instances where we had full possession of the puck in our own zone, and there's always a tendency to relax, right? Okay, we got this, we're going to break up. You can't think until that puck leaves your zone, gets out of the blue line, are you actually safe, right? You can't rest on your laurels until that actually happens. And it seems like, especially on that third goal, everyone thought, oh, we have possession, we're going to be out, we're going to do something here, but boom, quick little giveaway, couple quick bounces, great play by Aho to get it to Teravainen there. Like, it looked like Connor and Leon. That's what they used to do with their tenacity in the offensive zone, right? So, for Skinner, it wasn't great. But you have to make that forced save and completely understandable that they yank him after that.
I was gonna touch on that first goal where you had a defensive zone breakdown again, and same thing. It's not a systems issue; it's a communication, just making decisions issue, where the puck kind of rolls. You have a defenseman following a player up. McDavid jumps as a centerman to go take the guy in the wall. Then Draisaitl gets caught jumping up high because he doesn't see anyone else up there, and Fogle, who's naturally winger, gravitates high too when he should have stopped, hold the slot, and then all of a sudden it's not a 2-on-1 at the net.
He sees the other two guys, so then he stays.
So he stays, but he sees McDavid go to the wall. Kind of shoulder checks a little bit, but no one's at the net because you have. I think. Let me just check which defenseman that is in the corner. I just want to see. I'm just rolling it again here. Okay, so that's Kulak, Darnell Nurse, and now we could say on that play too, Darnell Nurse should recognize that McDavid pushes over to help, and the second that happens, Darnell Nurse should be beelining back to the net.
He's got to get back to where
he's got to get back to the net because when the shot comes, he's outside the dots. I mean, he's basically at the top of the circles, outside the dots, and when the puck goes to the net, I mean, you have Kulak there by himself, and it's a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
So again,
that's why one of them are open to get the puck.
That's why one of them's open to get the puck and to just tap it in. So Fogle doesn't recognize that both forwards are out of the plane. He needs to hold the front. Nurse doesn't recognize that his first steps, the second that he sees McDavid go, he has to release back to the middle of the ice. Even if you drift up a little bit higher there, you have to release to the middle of the ice. So it's just like one mistake, two mistakes, three mistakes, 2-on-1 at the net, pucks in the back of your net.
I'm going to ask you this because I know people listening are probably yelling it at TuneIn or Edmonton Sports Talk or on the Nasty Chat right now. Is that are they making those errors because of the change in the system this year and it's too hard for them to understand?
No.
Or is this not general knowledge? When you see McDavid go over, you're Darnell Nurse, you're like, now I got to go.
That's reading and
Yeah,
reacting.
okay. Yeah.
That's reading and reacting is what that is. It's reading and reacting. Not
They shouldn't have played this game anyway. I mean, you guys watch warm up? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Signs it's going to be a bad night.
Like, you know they're not winning, man. Gage, did you ever slide over to the other side at all? Like,
no, that's the only thing, that humiliating thing in the game of hockey that didn't happen to me. I came out and fell down.
Yeah.
But I didn't like going through my ritual of going up to and stretching at the and blow a wheel, and not even blow, like he almost made it to the blue line. Like he was completely a turtle on his back at that point. And I mean, I thought, you know what, that might actually be just what the Oilers needed, just something to kind of laugh at. And then you got Darnell Nurse looking like Frankenstein, coming back with bandages all over he looked like Hannibal Lecter with all the meat on his face. And he's got and he goes, oh, what, are you getting a fight? No.
like a puck right off the crossbar.
Off the crossbar. Like, even if that happens, usually it just hits you and you're fine. Not breaking your nose and cutting you for 6. This is when you just put the 2 points in the envelope, go over to Rod Brendamore, apologize to the fans, and goes, here you go. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Well, Gage, that's basically what they did anyways. So,
well, maybe they could have had a power play practice where they just practiced the power play against each other's PK, and that would have been more enjoyable to watch actually than that game.
Nielson, Gage, and Kassian here on Two Guys and a Goalie. Your thoughts, of course, welcomed anytime, encouraged actually at 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Calvin sees in the Nasty Chat says the hilarious thing was Skinner trying to play it down like he was going back to his end, spinning around. It's like nobody will totally notice that you wiped out. I laughed for the guy
so hard at that. Even before bed, I was you look through your phone and someone Min Darwell had it all on there, and I was like, oh my god. That's so funny. It's so funny. That was great.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm trying to think anything else we did. They did have that power play, down 5-3 with about 12 minutes left. And I just, in the past, last year, they score there, right? It's just...
And I felt it going into that, too. I'm like, they could score here.
This was it? You still thought that, hey?
There's a part of me that's still like, what if they score here?
Had a power play goal in the first.
Yeah, I was like, what if they score here? They could do this. Is this the moment it turns around? Right, like you horrible at the start of the game. You're way down against a good team that plays good defense, and you get a power play late. The power play clicks, you score, and you find a way to eventually tie the game, and you win it, or you win it in overtime. I'm like, is this the moment? I'm just ready for it. Like my heart is ready for it. Like it's just those glimmers of hope where you're just like, well, this could be the moment. This could be the moment, and it wasn't.
It's funny because
you know what?
I was just gonna say, Gage, anytime anything positive happens to this team this year, I think the whole city goes, that's the one.
Yep.
That's the moment. They're back. And they just, first of all, they haven't had many of those, and they've only beaten bad teams, so it hasn't really led to anything. But what were you going to say?
Well, you know how, I mean, Connor's he has shown emotion and things like that, but that was a pretty amazing pass that he fed to Hyman, going the other way, backhanding it so Hyman could tap it. Show some emotion. Don't, he looked like someone just shot his dog after he got a great assist, do something that lifts everyone up. It looked like he was just, oh God, we're back in it or something. Show something. You're the captain of this team. You gotta pull everyone up here somehow. I was thinking, they need a guy like JT Miller who's not afraid to just yell at his own teammates. I know sometimes those guys are tough to deal with, but he gets the best out of everyone, and he holds himself accountable too. There's just, I don't know, that kind of made me angry last night when I saw McDavid do something real special. You see Hyman all juiced up after he scored, and he gets into
turn around and
then turn around and sees McDavid with his mopey face, and I'm just like, well, we're back in this. Hyman's doing everything he can to, whatever.
Yeah, already come on. Cass, somebody texted into our show this morning. It was like, when do we full-blown start questioning the leadership of this group? And I think you've been so blown, everybody's so hesitant to ever.
I was going to say, how can you not now?
To me, part of it is your leaders have to get you out of something like this.
Yep.
And they just look so sad for themselves that it doesn't feel like they are. And you make a good point, Gage. You're like, Hyman's fired up. He's like, okay, here we go. Let's go. Because, he knows last year they could come back in that situation. And even the picture of McDavid that we've got on the screen today, just, I don't know, man. Cass.
He just scored his hat trick goal.
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, exactly. This leadership group has not been good enough. It's as simple as that, right?
Your best players have to be your best players. Bottom line. Now, they're not going to be every single night. There's nights you need everyone else. You need the bottom six. You need your muck and grind type of guys to have a night.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be at your best every night. But how many games this year have we been able to say that Leon and Connor took the game on their shoulders and went and won them a hockey game? You haven't. So
not only that,
it's a good point, man.
How can you not question?
Yeah.
And say, is this leadership group doing enough? Are these guys doing enough? And I don't think, because the question came up yesterday in the post-game show. And I think it was Derek Van Diest that asked me this. Asked about, is now the time that Connor is going to the room and yelling at guys and calling guys out?
Yeah, he did ask you that. I was driving home listening.
And I'm just like, 10 games ago, that was the time for it. And they've said all the things they need to say. At this point, you have said all the things you need to say. It's like the words, whatever accountability inside the room, guys calling guys out, guys challenging other guys doing whatever. The time for that is past. It's been past for some time. It's put up or shut up at this point. It's put up or shut up. And
that's like 2-5-1 start type of thing, right? At that point, you're like, okay, enough. It's been 3 weeks.
Enough. Let's get it together and let's go. And you know what? I think the example I used was, in those situations, it's like everybody, you go around the room and everybody says, well, you know what? For us to be successful, this is what I need to do that I haven't been doing well enough. And the next guy goes, and the next guy, and you work your way around the room. But it's like time for that has passed. Time for that has passed. It's yeah. So as far as questioning the leadership group, it's fair to question the leadership group.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll slide into Spec's DMs and be like, hey, Spec, maybe you ask him this.
Ask him this.
Ask him this.
See how that goes over. Spec loves when other people suggest questions he should ask. I think that would go over very well. Nielson, Kassian, Gage with you here on Two Guys and a Goalie. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat here today as well. Gager, if they lose to the Capitals tomorrow, even if they don't, it's a 1-3 trip. You come back, you're still closer to San Jose than the rest of the bloody division, if you can believe that. They sent down Jack Campbell to shock the group. They fired Jay Woodcroft to shock the group. If you come back here on this trip 1-3 or 0-4, what's next? People are going to be asking, what do they do next? How do they try to save the season next? What are you supposed to do in this situation?
No, you look to the World Championships, what city that's in, and just start the World Championships training camp here, and get excited to maybe see Connor and Leon face off against one another in Czechia this year. I have no clue.
Yeah,
I really have no answer for this. The only thing that I can only comment on what I see. And obviously, it's not good enough. But the inability to make it difficult on other teams to play against, it hasn't been there from day one. You guys just talked about Connor and Leon taking over a game. Not only that, how many times? I don't think there's not really been a game where you look on the other side of the red line at the opposing teams. Possibly top two players or whatever. They've always outplayed Connor and Leon. They've outplayed the Oilers' two superstars. That rarely happened last year. Stuart Skinner. I hate to look brilliant, but I said he's going to struggle until Christmas. I thought Jack Campbell, it looked like he was going to take the reins for a little bit. And Skinner is struggling. Look at warm up. Jesus. There's just, I just go back to that Ekholm thing. And I don't, it seems like he's even thinking we gotta lock this thing down. and just make it so difficult for teams to get through. We need everyone back because the way that they're working in the defensive zone, they're too leaky and they give up way too much. And I know people are talking about goaltenders and stuff. I don't think there's only a handful of goalies that might be able to make a difference with the way that this team plays defense right now. And you can't afford those guys. It's a sideways move with anyone else. There's no one player is not able to fix what the Oilers are going through now. It has to come from within that dressing room. And look, you have a season like this, there has to be changes. You can't keep doing the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those core guys, aside from 97 and 29, aren't getting called into the GM's office, and Holland's asking him, "Would you submit to a certain teams for a trade?" Because he has to at this point. If he hasn't already, then he's done after this year anyway. But he has to have that conversation now because that's the only move left. Aside from bringing Woodcraft back again.
That's happening. I already reported it.
Yeah. Cass broke that earlier. Did you miss it?
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's a big one. Okay, so this is Rashog today. And when Shoggy tweets things out, when he says "my sense," I always get the sense that he knows what's going on but doesn't want to commit to it, so he puts "my sense" in there because he's a reporter and not, So anyway, this is what he says. All eyes are on Ken Holland right now, and rightfully. Lucas, you out of here? We'll see you later, buddy. Good seeing you. Lucas is on the hangout today. He's leaving. All eyes are on Ken Holland right now, and rightfully so. My sense is, outside of their first-round pick, all assets and options, 29 and 97 aside, are in play to try and find a fix. Prospects, which they don't have many of, second-rounders, rosters players, all of it on the table. Trades are no doubt tough to make. The Oilers are desperate as anyone in the league, and every other GM knows that nobody's offering lifelines, so finding a true goalie fix or a major upgrade on D might not be realistic right now, short of making a dumb deal. But what Holland cannot do with this team is in total free fall is nothing. Here are some things I believe they should be looking at outside of goalie and D, and any of these elements would be a positive add. Cup experience, physical and toughness, positive locker room presence, energy, etc. A player like Patrick Maroon would fit the bill on all three of these fronts. Not sure of his availability. There are others who would check one or two of these boxes. Point is, Holland has to find a way to check a box, and it needs to happen now. Also wouldn't be shocked to see I didn't see this part originally. Also wouldn't be shocked to see Campbell get another look at some point. After a shaky start, his game is turning a bit. We'll see, but solutions also must be found and generated internally. Finally, if the core players don't find their collective game and fast, none of this will matter much in the end. Anyway, so that was from Rashog earlier today. So outside of 29 and 97, everybody else will be in play. Now, Nuge, Kane, Hyman all have no movement clauses, so they would have to want to leave, and who knows? Maybe they do, whatever. Prospects, they don't have many anyway that people would be interested in. Second rounders, that's fine. Roster players, if you go look at the roster of the Oilers forwards, they either have a no movement clause or nobody in the league would touch them anyway. But it's like, I kind of looked at it this morning and the same thing, I kind of laughed. But if you look at the Edmonton Oilers forward group right now, and this is why making a trade is going to be basically impossible. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Kane, and Nuge, 5 no movement clauses. Leon has a modified no trade in there as well, according to Cap Friendly. Fogle at 2.7, nobody's trading for him. Ryan McLeod, unless you're lacking a soft third-line center who hasn't scored in 34 games. You're not trading for him. Nobody's going to want Matthias Janmark. Nobody's going to want Derek Ryan. Nobody's going to want Connor Brown, Adam Ernie, or Sam Gagner. There's zero bodies to trade. When you say other roster players, there are no other roster players up front to trade for help. So,
no. The only way that one of those guys goes is if you're packaging him in with prospects and picks. But the prospects,
but you're overpaying on the prospects.
You're overpaying on the prospects.
You're
and picks.
Please take this guy off our hands and give us somebody that's serviceable, right?
Well, you're getting absolutely raked across the coals.
Yeah. This will end up being. I could very much see in the next 10 days, especially if they lose to Washington tomorrow, and Washington's won 5 in a row and is 8-1-1 in their last 10 and are stingy defensively, which could be trouble. I could see them doing the classic. Well, got to pull the trigger on something, and the classic overpay. And, sometimes an overpay might work out. Like, the guy might click, and it might work. But if you've gone and fired the coach and made a trade that everybody views as horrible, and it still doesn't get you back on track, this is turning into the biggest debacle in Edmonton Oilers history. Like, this is a Stanley Cup contender that's playing worse than all the Decade of Darkness teams. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where the trade comes from. I don't know what you're doing.
I mean, we all were in agreement that Nobla, I think, is a capable coach, but that was a dumb move, was it not? To bring in a new guy? Like
I still don't understand what the point was. Like,
yeah.
And that's nothing against Knobloch at all.
No, I said the day they hired him when he was sitting up there at the press conferences, I feel sorry for this dude.
Yeah.
Because, congratulations on your first NHL job, but Jay Woodcroft had a .645 winning percentage with this group, and you decided after 13 bad games that this is on him, or you thought you knew the group well enough that they'd play guilty because they lost their coach. It's a horrible mismanagement of evaluating what the actual problem was. Like,
it's because of their analytics department.
No, but that's the problem.
Well,
that's why I thought they'd keep him, because analytically they're good. So
he does look like Matthew Modine, though, doesn't he? From Stranger Things and Batman and stuff. Nobla.
I don't know. Let me look him up. I thought he looked like the.
Is it the bad guy from the one Star Wars movie? From Rogue One.
I
look
thought
up Matthew Modine. He looks exactly like Nobla.
What's the guy's name?
That's why I post Matthew Modine. Because that's why I posted that he's the bad guy. He's the scientist.
Oh, that guy
from Stranger Things.
Yeah, he's a younger version.
Exactly
Version of him. I think he looks like the dad. Your kids. So you watch 101 Dalmatians. He looks like Roger from 101 Dalmatians. I think that's a parent reference.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that hasn't changed anything. I mean, to be honest with you, I think the Oilers probably would have won one of these 3 games without a coaching change that they ended up just losing. So I don't know where you're supposed to. I don't know where you're supposed to go next. And save your Ryan McLeod trade proposals, because I mean, how do you go? He's got 1 goal in his last 46 games or something.
No, they can trade him straight up for UC Soros.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you throw in
someone sent me that. I was like,
throw in a pick or something, maybe. At that
I did the passive aggressive, okay.
Yeah. Did somebody
thanks.
actually tweet that at you?
I don't think I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something akin to that. It was like McLeod and a pick to Nashville for Soros, and I was like, that's not happening.
Okay, so here's what they did today at practice. This is according to future Nielsen Show guest Bob Stauffer. McDavid and Draisaitl are now split up for now. I'm putting it out about 17 and a half minutes. 17 and a half minutes.
Can we have that on Cool Bet? How long they're apart at
exactly.
Cool Bet?
I don't.
How long until they play their first
shift
shift
of that?
Together, yeah.
All right. So we got McDavid between Hyman and Nuge. Draisaitl between Connor Brown, who just gets yo-yoed all over this lineup. Draisaitl between Brown and Kane. McLeod with Ryan and Fogle. And then Hamblin with Ernie and Matthias Janmark and Sam Gagner were kind of the 4th line there. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like within a period and a half, 27 and 90, 20, 29 and 97 are back together. But what do you make of McDavid, Hyman, Nuge, Draisaitl, Brown, Kane?
I mean, Brown has been an anchor.
Yeah.
Not in a good way.
I know, he hasn't he?
I mean, does he have a point yet?
Somebody texted me yesterday, said he got a 3rd assist.
Maybe.
Somebody's like, well, Dusty, you got to kind of give some credit on that goal. He essentially got the 3rd assist. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's mark that one down. I'm sure save the puck.
Analytics. Yeah, I mean, Brown hasn't done anything. You're trying to have a different look, but I mean, it's Knobloch running into the exact same thing that Jay Woodcroft ran into.
Exactly.
Exact same thing.
It's a roster construction thing here. It's not the coaches. So they've mixed the lines up again. Does that mean they're going to cover the guy in front of the net?
Nope.
No, it doesn't. And actually, following up on this, because let me see what they did with the blue line here today. I didn't even get to that. Nurse and Cece, so back together. Ekholm, Bouchard, Kulak, and Desharnais. And then there's Broberg. Where do you guys come out on running short up front to play two young defensemen that you can't trust, as opposed to having a full forward lineup up front and just playing one young defenseman you can't trust?
Maybe you're just trying to
I don't
showcase
understand.
Broberg, get him playing well enough that you can trade him for a first rounder.
That's why somebody texted in yesterday and said, Dusty, you view this as a Kulak showcase game. I'm like, no.
No,
And he
you're in
actually
win
ended
game.
up
You're not
being-
showcasing. You're in try to win a.
He also ended up
hockey game.
-3 last night. So if it was a showcase game, it didn't work out. He's back with Desharnais today. But like Gage, is it because? Like, to me, it must be because they just hate their bottom six and they don't want to dress a full third and fourth line, because I don't understand how you're benefiting from having both Desharnais and Broberg in the lineup. It makes zero sense.
No, they've both really, really struggled compared to, well, especially Vinny, I find. He needs to get into the pool hall to learn some of these bank shots, because some of he's almost scoring and then putting it straight against the boards and keeping the puck in. They can't play the bottom part of their lineup. They get hemmed in their own zone. They don't have their biggest thing was trying to find a fourth line, a serviceable line that you could play against other teams' top lines. Like, you look, God, that Vegas game last night, it's ridiculous how they just roll over everybody. It's crazy. Now you got two inexperienced defensemen with low confidence. It's not, when you're in a hole like this, that's a tough pair to go out there, because they do seem to struggle in their own zone. There's no clean outlets. Broberg just, I don't know, man. I always wanted to see, because there was so much more. Seeing his highlights in the American League and seeing the skating ability, it just, for some reason, it just does not translate from the American League to the NHL. He's just, I think he's a shadow of what he could be, but it's, how many more chances does he get at this point? Does he? And then his trade value has probably gone down.
I was just going to ask Cass, like,
tenfold. You probably could have got a lot more for him, a year ago.
Can I just say something?
Yes, of course.
I was on the, last year, the trade Broberg train. Last year.
You were.
I was, and you both were like, no, he's projected to be a top one. Analytics, Broberg, top one.
I don't think we were using this huge analytics.
No, you weren't
argument.
using analytics, but
both
of you guys were like, no, he's too valuable to trade. He's too valuable to trade.
I think I wanted to see him.
And I was always like, well, maybe, but probably could trade him and get good value for him now. And that, maybe there wasn't anything out there. Maybe they didn't look at it doing it, but he's worth a 4th round pick right now. Like, would you trade?
I can't argue
if you're another
with it.
team GM, would you trade anything more than a 4th rounder?
I'd probably trade a 3rd rounder to take a crack at him, because I still think there's this thing where other teams watch the Oilers and go, they're screwing it up, give them to us. And I think for that, you probably could still get a 3rd rounder. I do.
I wouldn't trade a 3rd rounder for him. Right
you
now.
wouldn't, eh?
No.
Oh man. Okay, guys. So, what did Rashad say? Outside of 29.97 in the 1st rounder, everything's in play here. Gager, where's the value? Who do you trade? Who do you trade to shake this group up? Because trading Ryan McLeod doesn't cut it. So how do you do this? Do you trade Bouchard? Do you trade Nuge? Do you trade Kane? And remember, no movement clauses on those two guys. You're not trading Hyman. Hyman's a piece you got to have around. I'm sorry. But so what do you do, Gager? How do you find the value in a deal here?
Well, you can't trade Bouchard. No one's going to take a chance with him.
No,
It's too much
I
of a
think someone would
liability.
trade Bouchard.
I'm looking at other top teams that you're going to get something tangible back that need that kind of that power play specialist. They already got a guy that usually plays both sides, right? That's what you're looking for. And if you look at the top teams, they're all set at that position, right? So really, I look at Nurse, Hyman, Kane, and the Nuge. One of those guys you have to trade at this point and those are the only guys worth something that you would get something that you can plug into your lineup and play. But you want kind of the same thing back, because Kane and Hyman have been arguably your best 2 players all season long. So if you have to get some of that sandpaper back. But those are the four guys. Those are the only four guys that you can look to trade. But again, they all have no movement clauses, so they're screwed.
Austin Hockey says a smart team would froth at the mouth for Bouchard. Gager is wrong. My goodness.
I mean, I think there'd be. It's just who would look for it because
as long as he does not have to play any defense.
Well, a point of game player. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're bringing him in to be an offensive guy, playing your third pairing, playing the power play, great. And I talked about this yesterday. I've talked about it frequently. Sean Bell agrees with me, so we know how smart he is. He has a mustache. So
Says the guy with an awesome full beard.
yeah, his mustache is better than my beard, but. He's unreal in the offensive zone. He generates offensive chances. He is fantastic in the offensive zone. I mean, he most likely will continue to be a point-of-game player or close to on the season. So would somebody take him? Yeah, absolutely. Now, what are you going to get back and who actually has a need for that? We'd have to take a pick at. But he is one of the few guys you get value for. But the same thing, now if you move him out, I mean, you need to bring somebody back in. So what we're going to do is we're going to trade Ryan McLeod to Nashville for Soros and Barry. Because that's a fair trade, and then we'll trade Bouchard somewhere and bring in a first line centerman that can play in both ends of the ice, maybe like Barkov or something like that. We might have to throw in a second round pick to make that one happen, and then we're set.
Let me throw this one by you, boys, because this popped up on Twitter. Corey Perry was healthy scratched due to an organization decision last night. And is not practicing with the Blackhawks today. Peter Mrazek's not out there either. They said, Foligno was asked about Corey Perry, and he just said, we just know that he's not with us. Haven't gotten any details. It's unfortunate. He's a big part of this. We'll miss him. So, yeah, Mark Lazarus, who covers the Hawks, says Corey Perry was scratched last night as a mysterious organizational decision. He's on the ice. So I don't know what's going on there with Corey Perry. But let's just have some fun here and wrap the episode with a little trade idea. I don't know what would have to be added, but would you trade Jack Campbell? And remember, something will have to be added here. Jack Campbell and Ryan McLeod for Corey Perry, Peter Mrazek.
I was going to say Connor Bedard.
Yeah. I just look at it because Corey Perry's making $4 million this year. His cap hit's $4 million. Mrazek's is 3.8. So you add those up, that's 7.8. Campbell's is 5. So then you need like somewhere in the 2 to 3 range just to make the money work unless they retain. And then you're going to have to pay even more. And you're going to have to pay a ton more anyway because Jack Campbell's contract extends Mrazek's a UFA at the end of the year. So I like Corey Perry seems like a guy that could come in here with the forward group and be like, it's time to get your shit together. Here's how you win. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think of that, Cass? Like,
I'd be open to it if you could make it work. But
you're gonna have to add.
the
It's not like
extras,
super crazy sexy.
That's what it is.
But I feel it's like something that could be a possibility. Just speculating and seeing how like the dollars and cents could work.
Yeah.
Mrazek's really hit and miss. I mean, at this stage of his career, he's 31. What it does is it gets you out of the Campbell contract moving forward, which is why if this deal goes down, there's significant prospects and draft picks going the other way, I think. So
yeah, and it all depends on Perry's situation as well.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on.
Like
maybe is Perry just pissed off because he was healthy scratched and he's like, okay, find a place to trade me, or is there something else going on? We don't know. But I don't know. Gager, have you ever got your eyes on Mrazek? Like, I feel like there could be a heater there because he got some swag, but at the same time, I mean, it's kind of been hit and miss. He had an 888 in Toronto. He had an 894 last year. He's got a 904 this year. The 1 year he was when he was in Carolina, 914, 905, 923. But you know what that is. Carolina's a good hockey team. So, I just wonder if you throw him behind this blue line, it really doesn't change anything.
Yeah, it's better than what you got. So,
yeah.
And I always go back to his World Junior performance here, where he was like getting standing ovations, which was awesome.
That was amazing. And he was like dancing. He was just in his
unbelievable.
Zone. Never seen a goalie in his zone like that.
Peter Mrazek will always be that goalie for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say get him just because of that moment. And I said at the beginning of the year, I thought Corey Perry would be someone that the Oilers should be looking at the trade deadline to really solidify their group. Yeah, I love it. I think a guy like that another guy that can possibly pull some other guys into the fight and make it uncomfortable for other teams. You need that. And because you only have a handful of guys doing it now, and you need more if you want to salvage this season in any regard.
Radzik's just a different look between the pipes. I don't think he'd come in and be a savior, but it's a different look.
Well, he's really good on backdoor tap-ins.
Yeah,
when,
as long as
when they're able to go cross ice twice.
Tap in for 60 and figure out if we can.
See, would you guys trade Skinner? Like,
I still wouldn't.
Well, I mean, it would be a different situation, but would you include Skinner in a deal for like a UC Saros if for some reason he was available?
Well, he's not.
No, but like if you were trying to get a legitimate starting goaltender, then yes, I think you would trade Skinner. If you could turn him into, the guy's probably not even available. I'm just saying that if there, for some reason, a team came to you and said, hey, we've got this guy who's got a career .915 and he's under control for a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say no. Like, Skinner's not a non-starter for me, I guess is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It would just have to be the right deal.
I mean, Skinner on a good team, I mean, the way he plays, he's not so good on backdoor tap-ins, but there's not many guys that are. But I mean, if you look at him in a Canes uniform, like, I don't know.
I like this one. Hawks still owe us one for not retaining anything on Keith. So you gotta go and do him a solid. All right, predictions for tomorrow, boys. Oilers, Washington Capitals. Cass, do they get swept on this road trip?
7-1 Capitals.
Oh boy, the tide has turned. Gage, what do you think happens tomorrow, buddy?
It's 5-2 Caps.
Boy.
It's
Gager, I needed you to bring me some hope.
Oh yeah.
No,
You've had a pretty good feel for this group this year, though, Gager. So I'll give you credit on that one, buddy.
Yeah, no,
right.
It's unfortunate, but yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Maybe
that's the slogan of the Oilers season. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Yeah,
that's always a good
maybe
thing.
It's 4-2 Caps.
Big day tomorrow here on Edmonton Sports Talk with the Nielson Show from 6 to 9. We'll lead into our Saturday Night Live draft that we'll be doing. Who would you take first overall on a Saturday Night Live draft, Cass? Farley? Sandler?
I'd probably take Farley.
Farley. Gage, would you take Farley?
I might have to go. That's so tough. I think I might go Sandler.
Sandler? Yeah, Sandler was
well,
good.
I mean, they're both fantastic.
Yeah, they're both really good.
Yeah.
They're both fantastic.
Farrell's
up there for me,
Mike
too.
Myers, I mean.
He's up there, too.
The first round is
you can't go wrong.
That's a legit first round.
You got to go Farley, though.
There.
If I had first pick, I think I'd go Farley.
You got to go Farley.
Yeah, I think I'd
you
go
got
Farley.
You got to.
Yeah, it should be good. Anyway, we'll have that from 9 to 11. Then we'll have Lock Shop at 11. I know I don't have first pick. I said if I did. Wannick here, always the commish, as biased commish as they come. Then we're going to have the pregame show at noon tomorrow, and that'll lead into a little watch-along that we're going to be doing. You'll be able to watch us and listen to us watch the game as the Oilers in a must-win, save-the-season situation against the Washington Capitals. That should be a pretty good time. For Joaquin, Gage, and Matt Kassian, I'm Dustin Nielson. Thank you very much for sliding in for another two guys and a goalie. We'll be back on Tuesday, and like I said, real fun day here tomorrow at Edmonton Sports Talk. Tell your friends about EdmontonSportsTalk.com. We'll talk to you tomorrow.